Hey, true crime fans, Dr. Cassidy here. Today I have with me Becca, and we're going to be talking about the alphabet killer. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to give you my precursor that what we're talking about, we're not actually diagnosing these people. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about our knowledge about what they've done, those kind of things, but nothing that we're talking about should be considered a clinical diagnosis. All right, so Becca, talk to me about, I don't know anything about the alphabet killer, so let's start.
So these murders took place 1971 and 1973 in Rochester, New York.
Hmm.
And they were all young girls between the ages of 10 or 11. And what was common that they found was the first name began with the same letter as their surname. So, like, your first one was Carmen Cullen, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. Don't think I'm pronouncing it right. So it was a CC.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always found in a town with the same letter also as well. So it was just very weird, and the police didn't know how to deal with that.
Hmm.
So the first victim was Carmen Cullen. She was 10 years old, and she was killed around November 16th, 1971. So what had happened was her mom, they said she was sent to a drugstore to pick up the family's prescriptions for the day. And she had begged her family to let her go alone because she said that she was finally old enough to go by herself.
Mm.
Well, this drugstore is only about a block and a half away from home, is what they said. And I guess at one point, someone finally came forward about seeing her half naked on the side of the highway running away from a car.
Oh my gosh.
But no one ever came forward about this. So 2 days passed after her disappearance, and a pair of teen boys found her body in the suburb Chile near Rochester.
Hmm.
Now, billboards went up. They offered $6,000 to anyone with any information. They would remain anonymous, and it still has gone unsolved to this day. They have not found out who has killed her.
Huh.
So there was another year in between of these killings. I think it was about 16 months is what they said, or a little over. And the next person who went missing was a young girl named Wanda Walkowicz.
Hmm.
She was the second victim, and she was 11 years old. She was sent to pick up groceries from the grocery store for dinner that night on April 2nd, 1973. She was found a day later. She was found in the bottom of a highway embankment in Webster. So notice they have CCC and then WWW.
That's crazy. Huh.
And they were both, so all of these girls actually, they vanished in afternoon, broad daylight. No one really knew what happened. They were all strangled and raped.
Oh gosh.
And there was a sighting of Wanda getting into a brown vehicle. And later, when people came forward about Carmen Cullen, they said that she was also running from a brown vehicle.
But no one reported that?
No one.
Oh,
No one came forward for years about Carmen, ever.
Where's the logic in that?
I don't know. And it was the side of a busy highway in New York, nonetheless. So why did no one say anything
That
about
makes no
that?
sense whatsoever.
No,
I don't understand that.
They were all found either half naked or redressed. Like they had been undressed and redressed back. So that was a little bit chilling to hear because these are young girls.
Oh, yeah.
Like ones that I would have in a classroom young. And that's terrifying that what happened to them and where did they go?
Mm-hmm.
So the third victim was Michelle Mainza. Again, probably pronouncing her last name incorrectly. She was also 11. And she disappeared November 26, 1973, from a shopping center while walking home. She was found 2 days later in Macedon, New York. So there are reports of her. they ended up reporting things. There's a report of seeing her outside of a fast food restaurant, and this was proven true by the autopsy, showing that she had eaten a hamburger right before death.
Oh my gosh.
Another witness saw a car with a flat tire, and whenever he stopped by to help, the driver, I guess, acted very hostile towards him, told him he didn't want his help, he wanted nothing to do with him, he was fine, he didn't need the help. And he noticed a little girl similar to Michelle in the car. And there ended up being a sketch made of this subject. What's weird is this is another brown car. Weeks after the police filtered thousands of calls with info just about this one part of the case. So there were multiple calls, one after another, about what they had seen.
Mm-hmm.
So people started coming forward. Now, they didn't mention, did they come forward about the other two? Did they come forward about anything? No one knows. Now, there were multiple suspects, including Colin's aunt.
Oh, a female?
Or not aunt, sorry,
No.
uncle. Her uncle. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's okay. I was thinking, well, now that's weird.
I think that they had mentioned that the aunt was involved, was the whole point, because they believed that it was two people that had to have killed her. And they discovered multiple serial rapists and murderers in the Rochester area in the process of this.
Oh my gosh.
So some of the suspects were like Dennis Ternini, and he was a firefighter. Like a New York firefighter.
Wow. Wow, gosh. We hold them in such high esteem now, you know? You do I guess you could be anything and be a serial killer, I guess.
Yes. Because there ended up being that they found dozens of rapes had happened in his garage.
Oh my gosh.
So no one knows, was anyone else ever aware of this before that? Was this just, they found out that he was a serial rapist and then went to his house? And whenever they cornered him to try to talk to him and be like, okay, we think that you could be part of this, he shot himself in the head, killing himself.
Wow.
So,
ooh.
No one really knew, and nothing is later said even about Colin's uncle. Like, nothing ever again was said on whether he had done it, whether he was ruled out, was there DNA there? Nothing. Nothing got said. So that's really weird. Because then that makes me think, could he still be a suspect and they don't know? Or did his family just kind of try to push that part underneath the rug to try to get rid of it?
Well, I mean, if you were part of his family, would you not? I would do that. You wouldn't want to like talk about it with.
Oh no,
I wouldn't want to be related to him for sure.
I wouldn't want to be related to him, but I would probably bring it up like, okay, but I want to know, did you actually do this?
Well, you and I would do that.
I would want closure. I feel like I'd want the closure of it all. I'm a closure person, clearly.
Well, I mean, I completely understand that, and I do think you and I would probably be like, all right, dude, did you do it or didn't you?
Like, but just tell the truth.
But you're talking about in the 70s, right? Are we still in the 70s?
Yes, this is like in the 70s. This is 1971 to 1973. So they went like all between 1972, no murders. So why did it randomly pick back up in 73?
Gosh. Oh, there's a multitude of reasons for that too, though. I mean, you look at BTK. He, over the course of 30 years, he would stop for 10 years when his kids were born and then pick back up again.
That's very true.
Opportunity, See, would you not think this is an opportunist killer because he's targeting young girls in that age group?
Yeah.
At what did you say? A drugstore?
Grocery store and shopping center.
So those are very specific.
Yeah, they're all shopping places.
Yeah.
Places that you would go to pick something up.
And they were alone. Here's my thought, though. How did he know their names were like W, W, and C and C?
That was something that they had brought up, actually, in this article, was back then it was common to name your child with the double, letter. So they thought, well, maybe he didn't specify that. And then later, he just thought, okay, well, I'll go on ahead and I'll see where I can go from here.
The only reason I would think, because with you telling me that, that makes me think, okay, so that was very common then.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a coincidence.
Yes.
But they were found in different cities that also started with the same. See, that's weird.
Found in or around them. So he had to have learned their names, or it was someone close to them that knew their names.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no connection.
I didn't even think about that.
Like, there's no connection at all between any of these three girls. No, nothing showing that they went to school together. They knew each other. No one knows exactly where they were, like in those places in Rochester. So I mean, it's kind of like Portsmouth. Like you can be on one side and you're 20 minutes away from somebody else here on campus.
That's true.
So.
And we think about it like territories. I mean, like there's West Portsmouth and there's East Portsmouth and Portsmouth City. And I mean, I can see how that would be. And they may never cross paths.
Yeah.
If they were in a different school district or something.
Exactly. So, did they know?
There has to be, though. It cannot, there's just no logical way that I can think of that you would have placed those girls in different cities that started with the same letter. There's just, that's too weird.
Yes, it's too coincidental. And I don't know if maybe they did that to try to throw everyone off. Like, oh, it's too coincidental, or, oh, like it actually was just a coincidence and he was just trying to get rid of their bodies quickly. Because one of them, I don't think I have it in here, they said that she was so scarred up that it looked like she had been thrown from a moving vehicle. Like they had raped her and strangled her. And what was really weird is they all were strangled by a rope or some sort of object to create a line on their neck, not with a hand. So, I don't really know.
Which is also odd because it's common for, I mean, any strangulation is a very intimate killing. And killing someone with your hands is really considered the most.
Yes.
Because it takes up to 6 minutes for a person to die.
You have to be willing to look into their eyes as they are taking their last breaths to kill them that way.
Absolutely. But if you use a ligature, you can be behind them and use the ligature and not have that, looking into their eyes. So, I mean, that to me is intriguing, especially if they were all killed the exact same way.
Yes.
So, just based on that information, I'm going to say it's the same person that killed them all.
Yeah.
But whatever happened with the brown car? Because that's the only true clue we have, right?
Yeah, it was consistent between all three. It was never really told what type of car it was, so we don't know. Is it the same car? Was it a different? And no one ever got the plates of it.
Really? In New York?
Yes.
One of the most populated places
yes.
in the world. I mean, that's so... I mean, I have questions. I have so many questions.
I have questions.
I mean, I know we didn't have video back then. We didn't have, really all we had to depend on. I mean, that was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So we had to depend on word of mouth. Someone coming forward, like you said, they didn't do for the first.
Yeah, no one came forward, and they offered rewards for her for the first one. It was never said that they offered rewards for the other two. I'm assuming there had to have been some sort of reward.
I would imagine. But it was quick, too, though, right?
Yes.
Like, didn't you say one of them was like the very next day she was found?
Yeah. So Wanda was found like a day later. And that was in April. And then 6-7 months later, here's Michelle found November 26th. So probably right around like Black Friday, actually. It would have been around Thanksgiving time.
Yeah.
So who knows what she was doing? Was she actually out with friends? Was it Thanksgiving? Was she doing something? Because that was